Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Stories in Folklore. Tonight, my friends, I'm going to share with you some of the interesting paranormal claims from the Eisenhower Historical Site in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It is rare to find claims for a site that is managed by the National Park Service, and the claims I have found for this location fall into that extreme category of rare. You see, my friends, these claims have been reported by park employees themselves and are documented in a book about paranormal activity within and around Gettysburg. The Eisenhowers were not the first owners of the farm. It existed many years dating back to before the Civil War. The ownership had changed hands several times until the Eisenhowers purchased the property in 1950 and began remodeling the 100-year-old homestead. They had found a 200-year-old log cabin that unfortunately was deteriorated too much to be restored. I mention this because I want to point out the age of inhabitation of this property, dating back to before the mid-1700s. So there is no wonder that there could be some activity on some ancient inhabited grounds. No one knows whether the Eisenhowers ever experienced any paranormal activity in their farmhouse, which might be related back to their original tenants. But since their passing and the opening of the house to visitors, several strange and unexplainable occurrences have happened repeatedly to the government employees who work there. These events seem to happen near the end of the day or wintertime when visitors are fairly scarce. The house is normally quiet at those times, and there are only one or two people there to witness anything out of the ordinary. The reports I'm about to share with you are testimonies from park employees themselves, and I have found no reports of any paranormal teams or investigators. In fact, I doubt that there has been any investigations performed at all within the Eisenhower home. Let's begin with the case of the slamming doors. You see, in Mrs. Eisenhower's dressing room, there is a set of heavy sliding mirrored doors. At least 2 rangers have heard the doors slammed shut, and an audible bang as if they were forcibly closed. Being that these are sliding doors, it would be impossible for them to be affected by the wind. The rangers reported the sound to the supervisor, who took them upstairs and tested the slamming of the doors shut. They both agreed that this was a sound that they heard, yet nobody else was even in the building at the time. Another report has happened when 2 other rangers were at the house, once again on a cold, wintry February day when there were no visitors at the farm. This was a day to catch up on some research, thought one ranger, and proceeded to go into the kitchen, part of the original section of the house. He had been engaged in research for a half hour or so when he heard distinct footsteps descending leisurely down the inside back stairs. He knew what the sound was like because he had heard literally thousands of visitors take that same stairway on their toes. He called out to his associate, assuming she had been checking the house and had come down to find him. No answer. He called again. Still no answer. He got up, walked up the stairs, and all through the house, finally finding his fellow ranger. In a later conversation, he stated that he felt uneasy and sort of sensed that someone else was there. His partner had been nowhere near the stairs for the last half hour. Assuming that perhaps another ranger had entered, or perhaps the unlikely possibility that a visitor had walked down to the farm, they searched the house she going one way around and he another. They met and confirmed that they were the only two in the house. Fortunately, by this time, it was close to closing time and time for them to leave. According to the woman ranger, as they stood there after the thorough search of the house, they both heard distinctly on the soft carpeted stairs that once felt footsteps of the American president and the first lady. Again, the footsteps of somebody slowly descending. They quickly locked up the house and left for the evening. There are also oftentimes the whiff of perfume that wafts down the stairs, around the house, and lingers, especially near the maid's room. It has been associated with Mrs. Eisenhower's favorite scents. Yet all of her perfume bottles, sitting by the side of her bed upstairs for display to visitors, remain tightly capped. On another occasion, during the anniversary of the great general's passing, another ranger mentioned that when she was at the back door of the house, she had heard someone coughing. It wasn't a normal cough, but the hacking, hard cough one hears from someone of a previous generation who had smoked from an early age before the deadly consequences of the habit were well known. She turned and walked to where she had heard the hacking, the butler's quarters, to see if she could help whatever poor visitor it was suffering so. As she approached the butler's quarters, the fierce coughing ceased. Rounding the corner, she saw that there was nobody there near the back of the house. And finally, on another occasion, a maintenance person was stationed in the house alone after hours, and they continued to hear the soft, crackling rustle of a type of crinolines worn in special formal occasions. She heard the distinct sound so often and so clearly in the evenings that she began to wear a portable tape player so she wouldn't be disturbed from her work. And finally, one day after she had been working alone at the house and had locked up the building and was getting ready to leave, she happened to glance back at the house. The shade covering Mrs. Eisenhower's bedroom window slowly raised, then lowered again, as if to make sure that whomever it was at the farm was indeed leaving for the evening. Is it possible that these spirits that linger at the house are those who were on the property before the Eisenhowers? Is it possible that the quiet alone time on such a vast property could cause one's imagination to wander? Or could it be the former owners of the farm, returning in their afterlife to still enjoy the only home that they ever owned? It may be impossible, my friends, to ever answer any of these questions, but if you are in Gettysburg, be sure to stop by and pay your respects at the Eisenhower National Historic Site. If you like this episode of Ghost Stories and Folklore, be sure to hit the like button. And if you would like more videos from Panady videos in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications. If you dare. Ha 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 ha.